I love her hair.
I'm saying, why does she have hair control? By the way, I'm not letting go of the fact that she has hard physical response to her trauma, and that her immediate thing when she finally gets her body to respond to her is to smile to calm everybody else down. That is a horrible thing. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with episode 3 of Macross Frontier. How about you go ahead and remind us of what happened last time?
Oh, the last time, episode 2. The battle against this new enemy continues in the city, in the streets of Island 1. We don't get a name. We get names for the locations, San Francisco and Shibuya, but we don't know the whole thing. It's only called Island 1. The creature gets driven away after basically this complete chase sequence between Ozma, Michael, and Alto. Alto does the Minmay catch. His version of Minmay catch was Valkyrie, and saves Ranka's life after escaping the battle. It ultimately, the creature does get destroyed, at least one of them, and the other ones flee, or appear to. And basically, Alto, once he gets Ranka into a safe position, just walks, kind of not even, he skates away from the situation with Ranka saying, hey, please come back, right? And also we see that Ranka gets a flashback to something, what looks like an alien attack. We don't know. The perspective seems that she was escaping a location, right? Kind of escape pod kind of thing, but we're not really sure. It's in black and white. And basically, next scene is in the hospital. Ranka's getting checked out. Ozma is there, and she's like, "Oh, please tell me you know this guy." Describes Alto, etc. Then after she leaves, probably to go to school because she's wearing a uniform. The what's his name? Kathy Glass and Alto are being marched because she early on went to his school with 2 armed military police, I suppose, and grabbed them. And they take blood tests and all that. And she's like, "Oh, yes, we could sue you, whatever, because of the things you've done, because you're dealing with military hardware. But we know you did it in self-defense, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to offer you a space in the military." And before he can answer, Ozma comes in and goes like, "Well, actually, you don't want to do that. It's our hardware. So you know what? We're going to take over." And she's like, "But you can't do that." "Yeah, yes, I can." And yes, he did. And so they drive to the SMS base. Ozma explains to Alto that the job of the SMS is to test this new hardware that's coming out. That's why they have the new mechs that regular military doesn't have, close to combat conditions as possible. But really, he brings it to the base in order to tell him, to have Alto tell him what happened to the dead SMS member, Gilliam, right? What's his name? Yeah, Gilliam.
Henry.
And Henry Gilliam.
Easier one to remember.
So, but before he can do that, alarms go up because one of the creatures that attack, or alien, whatever, actually hid itself inside the machinery of Island 2 or Island 1 and come back again. It gets detected. So they scramble out, and Alto's like, "Hey, I could jump into Valkyrie," and gets punched in the face, for his audacity, I guess. Meanwhile, Cheryl is looking for something we don't know, and she asks Grace, "Hey, you have the recording of the concert. Guys need to know something, right?" And from that recording, she recognizes Alto, and so she goes out into the city to find him, but crosses path with Ranka, and apparently she's asked Ranka to, tell her how the city works because she's new to it, and she doesn't know what it is. And she's even screaming at Kathy, "I'm Cheryl. You need to give me information because this is important for me." Blah blah blah. And so eventually, what happens is that Alto gets kicked out of the SMS base, ends up in the same place that Ranka and Cheryl are. Ranka is telling Cheryl, not knowing that she's talking to Cheryl, that Cheryl is like, the best thing ever. It's like she's idolizes her. And Cheryl keeps quiet until finally Ranka starts singing one of Cheryl's songs, and Cheryl finishes that song. She realizes that she's been talking to, Cheryl. And then Alta comes in. Then we have the SMS fighters going out to intercept this bogey, right? Which then turns around and seems to be looking at or chasing where Ranka and Cheryl at. And that's when the episode ends.
Clearly, the Vajra are after Anima Spiritua. That's got to be what's going on here.
Well, they didn't suck up anybody's life force. They just blew everybody up. Where
the Proto-Devlin devoured Spiritua, clearly the Vajra destroy it. Look, Spiritua's a thing. We can't take it back. It's out there. Technically, we should be shooting the Vajra with spiritual weapons to put them into comas.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that.
Look, you can't take back... Look... It's gonna be a super napalm thing from Gundam. We've already developed a thing that can destroy the Gundam pretty easily. Thank God we're never gonna mention it again. And I keep bringing up spiritual weaponry is basically the ultimate form of crowd control. You don't have to hurt anybody, you literally put them into a little sleepy time coma. And the spiritual weaponry can wake them up again, or music playing on a radio. So... Just the idea that you see them shoot the spiritual weapon at the Proto-Devlin and they go into, like, mummy mode. Like, they go real... It sucks them out, but those people, needed Spiritua. So anything else, I imagine, just gets real depressed and lethargic. Yeah, there was something in what you said that I wanted to comment on, but I've already forgotten what my comment was, so... Nothing to do but to get into it, I guess. Let's go ahead and get into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
It went too fast. I was going to say pay attention to Mega Road 1, but it's gone. Let's get to know that there was more than one Mega Road, at least. That Mega Road 4 is the one that settles Eden. Super Dimensional Fortress. I know this is gonna seem random, but I will explain it later. Because I guess the telling thing would be, would it have looked their direction if she didn't sing? Can't remember what poll it was. I'm gonna look it up now while we're in the opening. There was a poll that I had recently done, not a new one of the old ones, that somebody had commented on the fact that if Basara was around, like, I think Frontier would have been ended in, like, 2 episodes.
Yeah.
You don't like him, but literally his song is stronger than Nuke's. So I don't know where to go on that one. Okay, I can't hold that button and do stuff. Maybe it was the most annoying person poll. I don't remember. They commented on something. No, it wasn't that one. Must have been the what was the best idol in Macross poll, which was, up to that time. I got plenty of time to find it. These openings, they don't go by fast. Well, I don't remember. It came up at some point. But anyway, that's what they said. If Basara was around, he was such an OP character that he could have ended any of these shows. Of course, now I find it. How the episode's already going. We'll remember that for the post.
カナリアだ。いつでも出られる。発信許可を。
とにかく
混乱しているみたいで、大統領府からの発信許可が出ません。
So are those guys part of the SMS, or are those guys part of the government? The military?
Part of SMS. As you see in the cap or the captain, yeah.
Well, I was confused because we had seen him before, and I think before I thought he was military. I know. I was literally just thinking I would not be able to do that. That'd be like having predator vision. And I'm not talking about Bill Cosby. Oh, so he's Garrus from Mass Effect. So we see them get to hit like tank shells constantly, but the sniper rifle is stronger than anything they've been hit by before. You fool, you thought I needed a head? I guess it is like Birdman then. Birdman didn't need a head. I feel like that's an accident waiting to happen. Having the breakable glass push button thing on the floor. Guy in the background with a what was his name? Guy who sacrificed himself in Macross 7. Start with a K.
Yeah.
Kinryu.
I know Kinryu. Yeah.
There was a guy in the background with a Kinryu head tattoo.
Yeah.
ごめんなさい。あれ？嘘。やだ。どうして？
Now someone's dealing with PTSD.
いい加減に。よ
し。ほら、大丈夫。怯えてる女の子の一人や二人俺が守ってやる。くらい言えないわけ？
うるせえな。できる状況ならいくらでも言ってるよ。
See, that's what I'm talking about. Punch a wall when you're angry. Let me know you're angry.
とっとと出ましょう。その方がお互いの精神衛生上良さそうだし。
無理だ。ここは非常用の対比号だ。ドーム内には通じてない。
ちょっと、それって閉じ込められたってこと？
I love her hair.
I was saying, why does she have hair control? By the way, I'm not letting go of the fact that she has hard physical response to her trauma, and that her immediate thing when she finally gets her body to respond to her is to smile to calm everybody else down. That is a horrible thing.
He is just getting slapped by everybody twice in this episode.
I was literally just thinking of a quote from a YouTube channel, which was, "Looking isn't cheating."
だいたいステージとかでいろいろ見せてんだろ。
それとプライベートは別なの。いやらしい目で見ないでよ。この変態。
誰が変態だ。
あんたよ、この色ガキ。
黙れ露出魔。
なんですって？お腹空きませんか？ か？私たまたますっごく美味しい天津を持ってるんです。ニャンニャン名物マグロまん。
Quick, you gotta stop, Mom. Oh, there we go.
やっぱり腹が減っては戦が
Yeah, the boob jobs here jokes are just they never stop.
みたいな、やっぱり可愛いわ、あなた。
I don't know. I still don't know how to handle the fact you keep calling them boob jobs.
Yeah, boob
Get a little
jokes.
Freudian response to this.
Yeah.
仕事までには戻ってくるので。
大至急、彼女の現在地の特定を。
ですがオペレーターも手一杯のようで。
よろしかったら船内ネットワークの認証化していただけませんか？
インプラント。
フロンティアでは違法でしたっけ？でも結構便利なんですよ。いろいろと。
Maybe that's what I saw on that bridge bunny,
何度やっても復旧しない。
but on her head instead of on her necklace.
自分の運命が人任せってのは。SMS の人たち大丈夫かな？
知り合いがいるのか？
お兄ちゃんがジムで働いてて、私もよく差し入れに。
I mean, it looks like there's a note in with your food, so either you were giving him a note or he gave you a note.
なんか空気悪くない？
皮肉ならもうやめろよ。
違うわよ。本当に息苦しいような。
Hey, that breathing thing I keep mentioning.
くそ、循環系が停止してる。このままじゃあと15分も持たない。
ちょっと、なんとかしなさいよ。
簡単に言うなよ。できるんならとっくにやってるさ。
そんな。冗談じゃないわよ。
バカやめろ。外は真空だぞ。
なら諦めて窒息するまで待てっての。そんなのごめんよ。私は諦めない。みんなは私を幸運だって言うわ。でもそれに見合う努力はしてきたつもりよ。だから私はシェリル・ノームでいられるの。運命ってのはそうやって掴み取るもんなのよ。その通りです。
It was never a vacuum out there anyway, apparently.
Oh, they got it sealed.
What's on automatic sealing? Why is your blood purple?
Oh, he's red.
Oh, on the inside of his helmet. Purple. Well, that's another mystery.
さっき見たことは忘れるのよ。あんたがもしあの視覚データをネットに流したりしたら、社会的にも生物学的にも抹殺するわよ。そうね。
That's only 2 of the 3 ways you could destroy me.
今夜一晩
Okay, camera.
許してあげる。バーカ、なわけないでしょ。
何？
ねえ、ランカちゃん。あ、はい。あなた、歌うのは好き？はい。なら素直になりなさい。チャンスは目の前にあるものよ。こんなサービス、めったにしないんだから。
随分とごゆっくりの救助だったな。
それについては謝罪します。循環系が
I mean, they're in
停止しているのが分かっ
spacesuits.
ていればもっと。
言い訳はいいからとっとと出ろよ。
はい、こちら完了しました。
Actually, I thought those were just their military uniforms for whatever they were fighting.
No, remember, she wasn't in a uniform at all. She was in the shelter.
Sorry, something that often happens is that I'm paying attention and you're in the middle of a debate with me. So No, I know she was in the shelter. I meant when she left the shelter to do this.
おい。
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing from this episode so far is the whole trauma response. Again, it's a good way to show it. versus the argument we've already had about Amuro and Gundam.
何なんだあいつ。
ランカは親しい人間の死や怪我に対して異常なまでに反応するんだ。
ディソシエイティブアムネジア、乖離性健忘。外傷後ストレス障害等をきっかけに特定の体験の追走が不可能になる。
I mean, it seems like the opposite of that because she just remembered the trauma earlier. I'm not talking about her physical response, I'm talking about the sepia-toned memory we saw.
うちに返したが。
いつも世話をかけるな、カナリア。
気にするな、チームだ。
特定の体験って。
ランカは昔肉親を全て失ってるんだ。親兄弟全てをな。
でもあんたは。
俺はランカの本当の兄じゃない。11年前あの子の家族を守れなかった。
I mean, it fits the same way she's calling you Oni-chan when she's gripping you in the Valkyrie.
そのことを忘れている。あの忌まわしき事件を。
だったらなんでパイロットなんかやってんだ。そのせいであの子は。
You're gonna get punched in the face again, aren't you?
守る。だからって何もかも隠してそれが守るってことなのかよ。
ならどうしろってんだ。お前の家族はバジュラに引き裂かれて死んだと。そのせいでお前は心に傷を負ったと。そう言ってるが。
隊長、傷口が。ミシェル、ナースコール。
了解。
ルカ、見て、そっちのモニター。はい。
俺なら全てを知っていたい。他人に自分の運命を任すのは真っ平だ。教えろよ。
It's literally one of those things that you can only choose to do once. You can't come back from this if it's the wrong choice. Yeah, see? You'll figure that I'm on the side of the flippant guy.
24時間の猶予をやる。もう一度よく考えろ。自分が何をしたいのか、何のために、何をかけて戦うのかをな。
すみません、アルト先輩。今まで黙ってて。SMS に所属していることは保安のために秘密にって。でも、これで学校だけじゃなく、部隊でも一緒に飛べるんですね。
But you're not really flying with the fleet. You tell those guys to run away.
やめてくださいよ、そんな。
ああ、やめておけ。アルト、お前また逃げてくるのか。逃げる？誰がだよ。見損なうなよ。これまで丸1年以上、お前と飛んでるんだ。今のままじゃ、いずれ自分が死ぬか、誰かを殺す。
I mean, you're also not that great of a team player, Alto. You clipped Frankie in that flight.
一応友人として忠告しておく。
ミシェル先輩。
接触者に関する報告書です。
この子は。
どうかしたの、レオン。と、三島主席。
Can't wait to pause and read that paper and find out it says nothing about her at all.
30秒前に終わっている。もうプライベートの時間だ。
ダメよ、レオン。お父様がもし。
大統領閣下はもうお帰りだよ。
でも。
I can't tell if this is consensual.
It seems to have happened before.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be a power disparity thing.
Sexual harassment, yeah.
これでまたあいつに会わないといけなくなっちゃったの。
I mean, assuming he has it. It was in the scene transition, so I don't know actually where it is.
アルト、お前また逃げてくるのか。親父さんや家から。違う。
I told him I didn't want to do kabuki. We're gonna find out that she actually knows already, seeing at their grave.
いい歌だったな。
The Griffin Observatory.
No, Griffith.
私ね
Don't invoke his name. It's not here.
何にも覚えてないんだ
This is more like that guy from Berserk.
だらけ覚えてるの私のたった一つの思い出なんだ
そっか。
それでね時々この丘に歌いに来るのここなら誰も聞いてないから
聞いてない。それでいいのか？
Are you secretly a Name?
今まではそう思ってたんだけど
Because I'm getting flashbacks to Sarah Name going out into the middle of the woods to sing by herself because nobody could hear it.
羨ましい
Although that would mean the Name blood was being diluted by Zentradi blood.
すごく怖かった
However, that's a very racist thought to think it's you're diluting the blood. I'm not going to backtrack on that one.
できないで死んじゃうんだってそしたらね私は
Well, no, it's not racist because their blood being diluted was their whole thing about their backstory. No needles, so...
Yeah.
無理だな。
そうだよね私なんか
そうやってできたらとか自分
And it could also then be a thing.
は
Did the Vajra come to attack because Sarah was singing? Or sorry, Cheryl was singing? Or because it was Renka who was singing before her?
お
意地悪だねアルト君
よく言われるよ。
私みんなに伝えたいのだから聞いてくれる私の歌
好きにしろよ。
ありがとうアルト君愛も愛も寝てるしのいなみりあえんでるプロテア
Now, we're not getting English subtitles because this is in a language of the show? Or are we just not getting it because it's not important to know what she's saying? Oh, never mind. There we go. It does have a very Macross Plus feel to it.
英雄たちに敬礼。
Those better be blanks.
彼は勇敢な兵士だった。恐れず、ひるまず、その命を賭して譲れぬ者のために戦い、力尽きた。だがこれは終わりではない。彼の肉体はやがて我が肉となり、血となり、大気となって我らの命を燃やすだろう。だから今は眠れ。
I'm not exactly sure what was going on there.
さらばだ。
They're recycling the body.
蹴れ。
I wish you didn't tell me that. No, because I think it's a bad thing. I mean, I think I could have gotten there. My anticipation was they were going to eject him into space, like a Spock moment.
民間軍事プロバイダーである俺たちの死は戦死じゃない。自己死扱いだ。あそこに墓碑が建てられることもない。戦団を挙げての葬儀もなく、身内にすら詳細な事実が伝えられることはない。
おあつらえ向きさ。俺は俺一人の力で生きる。死ぬ時も一人だ。
See, now you could punch him in the face. I'd punch him in the face for that shit.
Yeah.
That's cocky. That's not like what he was doing back to the other place.
それは明日からだ。
先輩宿舎までの道ってわかり
バ
ます
カ野郎が。こうなったらとことんしごいてやるからな。
Hot. Now kiss.
ランカリーですよろしくお願いします
ではランカさん、君がこのミス・マクロス・フロンティアに志望した理由を教えてもらえますか？
素直になることにしたんだ
Oh, what was her name? Look up somebody real quick.
Race?
Who?
I thought you were talking about the other woman that was in the room with
No.
Sure.
Also, was that Grace? I would have thought it was her manager, the other woman. No, I'm talking about somebody from SDF Macross. Oh. Is Cheryl our new Jamis Marin? An existing, already popular person to be subverted by an up-and-coming person? Obviously, don't answer if I'm right. I'm putting it out there and expressing to you that this is what I'm also thinking.
I think the word remix is a good one to use for everything here. And I'm going to leave it at that.
By the way, the comment from before, Basara is so OP. Sorry, this is from Valkyrie77. Basara is so OP that if he had showed up in either Macross F or Delta, that series would have been only 2 episodes at most. Laughy face. I mean, to be fair, the guy can't stop singing, so if these things are attracted to music, he would have instantly attracted them. And then had a VF-17 ready to go. Wouldn't be a Macross, Miss Macross pageant without a bathing suit.
That's true.
The ancient song. So we're back to SDF Macross, or Do You Remember Love? Possibly a mix of a little Macross 7.
Yep. See what happens.
Yeah. No, again, the whole trauma thing. It's the main thing that jumps out to me here. Because obviously I already pointed out the moment I saw the sepia-toned memory, that just rings to me of Outlaw Star. You're familiar, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it.
Where we lose the dad. The dad, shoves into a skate pod. He dies to whatever. That's what that feels like. But the fact that she can't let her hands go, that trauma response is so strong. That is a good way to show that, because she's actively trying to fight it too. Like, she doesn't want to be, and he doesn't understand what's going on. She's like, stop it. And she's like, let go. She's like white knuckling it, and then she lets go. And then the horrible thing is that she looks up at him and smiles, and it's like, she's feeling a horrible way, but can't let other people know that, so she smiles. And it's like, I'm on the roller coaster of emotion of this scene, and then I'm thinking back to Amuro witnessing the galaxy through his blinding white light eyes, and it's like, this is the example of doing it right that I'm trying to imply every time that we see Amuro just freeze up or whatever. That Amuro is doing it in a shitty way. This is what this is what I want to see.
I would argue, is there a right way to deal with trauma if you don't know the trauma you're going through?
Yes.
You're just experiencing.
I'm going to say yes, and I'll get shit on in the comments, but I'm going to say yes from a narrative way. Not in a real way. I'm not saying that people react real world. Let's say that Amuro is reacting. I'm not saying Amuro is not being real. I'm saying that Amuro is not being narratively good to the viewer. And at the end of the day, this is a story. And I think that's what I said during the Gundam reaction. This is a story you want people to understand. You want people to, put themselves into. Not put themselves into. I don't want anybody to stand in character. I want, I want my emotions to go into this. So when she reacts this way, one, she's a cute little girl character, so automatically when you feel her feel bad, you feel bad because you want the cute little girl character to feel good. But then she's also doing it in a way that you can understand. Like anybody who's white-knuckled anything, right? Even on a bad roller coaster ride, for example, you understand the concept of not being able to let go no matter how much you want to let go. It's just a thing. It's just a human response. And it's much more... It is an action, and you can see actions happening versus inaction, like Amuro staring blankly off into space. Inaction's not a good thing to watch. I don't feel for inaction. Her action makes me feel bad, so I can understand what she's going through, because I also feel bad for seeing her do it. And now I'm implicitly with her character-wise, because I want to see her grow and develop out of this, or at least get into a better situation.
Yeah.
Which is that emotional resonance I keep talking about when we're doing like character rankings and whatnot. That I need emotional resonance to give a shit about a character. Otherwise, you're Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. If you drew two white eyes on Plank and put them up against the bed and the board in Amuro's room, be doing the same job. So yeah, I mean, that is the impetus.
I already said that I cannot disagree, but I understand where you're coming from. So yeah, it's a different way to do it. Also, I think it's 1979 versus 2007, right? The understanding of how people react to these things. Maybe it probably shows that the writers of Gundam were trying to show something, but they were trying to show it in this sort of stereotypical action movie kind of way, where this seems to be, we've done at least a little bit of research, and we know that different people react in different ways. And how would, for example, a young woman or a teenager, because she's a teenager, react to something like that, right? To this trauma. And not willing to let go of the thing that gives us a sense of safety, right? Because she did the same thing when they were in the Valkyrie. Like, it was a Oni-chan, right? She was grasping of it, and when she came out, it was like, and turn around and,
understood that she wasn't actually looking at or thinking of things that she was actually thinking of. No, I mean, I understand what you're saying. That is the meta level of difficulty in that we've called the same problem by many different names, shell shock, battle fatigue, PTSD, another one that's not coming to my head all of a sudden, but because we understood it differently in different ways, and the complexity of how we treat it has gone through different things. So in Gundam 1979, in the real world, they had different names for it and treated it differently than by 2007, where we call it something else and treat it differently there. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from in that. But again, I just want to reiterate that my point of view isn't from the real world. It's from the narrative and how we display things to the viewer so that the viewer understands what's going on in a way that makes them... Again, there's the element of one, understand what's going on. A guy staring blankly out into space can mean a lot of things. It's only the context of what's going on that allows you to get into their shoes, as it were. But also, again, side with the character. There's probably a better way to say that, but I side with a character more when I can witness through action what they're going through than have to figure it out. I am emotionally dumb, right? So I'm not going to side with somebody who I just don't see anything in versus somebody who I feel active empathy for because they are actively showing me their problem. It is the physical, emotional example of a Basara, right? If Basara doesn't tell us what he's thinking, we don't know what he's thinking. If Amuro doesn't actively show us anything, we only have to guess what's going on in Amuro's mind, versus her is giving us physical show. If I was in the back room of the theater, I'd still know what's going on with Renka. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, certainly this departure from the characters, especially, first of all, we clearly have already established a triangle of characters, right? Alto, Cheryl, Ranka. They share more space. Each one has their own thing going, but they're increasingly being brought together in different ways, right? Music and performance is a good thing. Also, I like the part when he calls her, it's like, oh, well, your show is like, and she says, don't confuse my personal life with my performance, okay? I like that. I like that. And
let me just get somewhere in case I feel like you're about to get there. And since I'm the new viewer, I feel like I want to get there first, so it's not being told to me. So just remember what you're about to say in case I'm just way off. We have the perspective of a guy who's from a performative family who is jaded to it and trying to avoid it. Someone who's trying to be an up-and-coming new person and is exploring that new realm, as we just know, Mr. Macross coming up. And then I guess Cheryl, who is the status quo.
Yeah, she's the currently star here.
I want to say that Cheryl is shaded, but I can't tell.
At her height, she is at her height of her fame and probably fortune too.
Right. I can't tell if she's herself jaded or not because she's doing the whole I want to get out, get away from it, and see the world with my own eyes without being recognized for who I am. But very clearly, Alto is the jaded motif. And I feel like when you're saying 3 different viewpoints of stardom or singing or whatever, I feel like obviously Kabuki isn't really singing, but stardom, say. I feel like that is in itself the 3 different viewpoints. Sorry. Again, as the new viewer, I feel like it's my point to say, oh, I recognize this without somebody actually telling me from the outside. So I just want to jump in there real quick.
Yeah, no, that's part of the point I want to make. But the other point is that, and he should know this, right? When she says to him and setting boundaries, right? And I think they're being, even with all the boob jokes that they keep throwing at us, actually with the food, right? They show the food and everybody got the joke immediately, started laughing, which is a good, tension breaker. At least gives a little breather there. Good timing too. Less because it's an obvious joke, is more like it allows us to sort of breathe. But when she says to him, there is a difference between my private life, right, and my performance, right? And he's like, oh, but yeah, whatever. He comes out as being a bit bratty, right? He comes out that he doesn't want to lose the argument, but I side with her, right? And it shows that there's a shade to her, which is more, especially when she goes out to Ranka says, now she says the whole joke about, hey, if you take our selfies, basically selfies, and you distribute it everywhere, I'm going to sue you, back to the Stone Age, right? Oh, but you could, and basically this is kind of directed more Alto, but you can use it tonight if you want to, but that's between you.
Well,
and he's like,
yeah, but she's saying it to Alto because she's implying that they have some sort of optics that they can take pictures with, and the fact that he saw her topless and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, not even from a jokey perspective. I think the serious perspective we get in the same episode is from Leon, and or I don't know if you do, but I still anticipate it to be a sexual, maybe a non-consensual thing going on between him and Grace.
I won't comment on that.
She didn't seem to be embracing it, and it seemed like he was, again, power position, right? He has the authority. Definitely. I don't know. She's the daughter or granddaughter. I don't even know what her relationship really is to Howard. But it feels like he's abusing power to get what he wants. And because why would you have to do it off the clock, right? It doesn't seem like he's super professional to begin with. I mean, maybe he is. I can't say that about him. He does seem like you seen Gurren Lagann?
Yeah.
The Rossio. He seems like the Rossio character, if I'm going to put him as anything, which is cold logic, do what needs to get done sort of thing, even though he's a propaganda guy, which is a weird combo there. But the fact he's like, well, time's up. Time to get my groove on. And the fact that she's not like embracing, like, oh, you silly boy. She's like, well, we probably shouldn't be doing this. Doesn't seem like it's a full-on thing. So you got the boob jokes like you're joking about, that you're alluding to, not joking about. But then we have this, what feels like a more serious implication of all of that being played out in a 1-minute allusion to what's going on in the government.
I mean, it's an allusion to a lot of things I can't talk about. But there is a bit of power disparity that cannot be denied. Maybe the first time I saw it, I didn't see it, but this time around, it's pretty clear.
Well, I mean, even if you can't talk about it, at the very least, bringing it up here is my way of saying, hey, this is the thing I noticed. So definitely. I'm explaining that if it's something that's going to be brought up later, or is something that is building to something else, then here, I've seen it. Yeah.
But there's also the last thing I want to say about Cheryl, which you said, she's being, Cheryl's being, her, well, they call her a bitch in the first episode, so the bitch herself. It's that when she talks to Ranka, it's like, listen, go for your dreams. You have a chance, right? Take it. That seemed to me like a genuine moment between her and Ranka, right?
I know to you, but my feel is still from episode 2. Hey, this is a fan who's been like fluffing me this whole time, so I'm going to be nicer than I have been to every random other person because I like how they've been fluffing me. It doesn't feel like she would say this to anybody on the street, especially since episode 1, when she's like looking at Michael, Luca, and whatever the
Alto?
F guys.
The
Yeah, Alto and the F guy's name, I couldn't remember. The guy Alto clips. Looks at them and says, what are those kids doing here? Like, she doesn't like normal people being around her, not, I don't say personal life, but it seemed more like her professional life. Either way, she was very off-put and complained actively to the people around her about them being present. So it didn't...
Yeah.
So when Renka is just, like, fluffing up the woman that she idolizes, and she's like, oh, I like that. You know? And then it's just like, I'll be nice to you, you're nice to me. That sort of thing. I didn't feel like she would say that to, like, anybody on the street. Not without a microphone in her hand and a camera in her face, anyway. She feels like that kind of character.
Two different takes on the same.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously you were in the know and I'm not, but I mean, I guess the example would be like 80s game show host.
Mm-hmm.
All happy, fun, jokes around on the set, turn off the camera, smoke, get the fuck out of here, kid. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's stereotype. That's what I'm getting from Cheryl. Cheryl feels like a stereotype, which is not great for me, who loves the Name family. So I want her to be more. Then again, I kind of feel like I've pivoted those hopes to hoping that Renka is a Name, and it's just going to be that character that I want. Because, you know, she's got magical hair powers. Bayonetta was a bad example. What is that anime with that girl who has, like, the puffy hair stuff? Like, I think she can, like, jokingly fly in, like, little cartoon things with her hair, but also they, like, pop off. It is an early 2000s anime. It would have been around the same time as this. So it's just funny to see this at the same time. I think she's, like, a robot or something. The problem is I've never seen the anime, but she's used in, like, AMVs and memes so much during that period of time that it's in my head. It's a school anime, like a slice of life thing.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, hopefully a commenter will.
I've probably seen it, but you know, yeah, doesn't.
All right. Well, any final thoughts?
I'm glad you're still liking it. You're still with it. You know, it hasn't disappointed you yet.
Yeah, no, there's there's character pivots, but it's not like character pivots that are like, what the fuck is going on? I have not once in 3 episodes said, this is dumb. You know, so...
One thing I really liked, and I was hoping that you had a comment on, was the difference in the burials, right? They're burying the soldiers.
Oh, sorry. I did have a comment about that because I wanted to compare it to another anime. Again, one that I keep talking to you about, and I'm really hoping one day you'll just watch on your own. 86.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that man, the children, in fact, that man the like little mecha machines to fight for the country against the actual automated machines. In the media, everybody tells them that we have our own automated machines that are fighting. So the citizens don't know there's children in those mechs fighting and dying, and they're not allowed to have funerals because we don't want evidence that there's children in those mechs. So even in the reports, they just say they've lost some units. They don't say anything about the people, no names, anything. Soldiers, the soldiers, they have this whole stone, kind of like they show in there, that the soldiers get these little stones with their names on it. Yeah, all the people in the military that died in like the first week of the fight against these automated units, whole rows of stones with their names on it. And the person who's in charge of directing the kids for one specific unit, they have this whole conversation about, we'll never get our names written down, nobody will ever remember who we are, that sort of thing. So it's literally like a 1-for-1 from 86 to here. So it's, if I didn't have anything to say about it during the time, it's either because we were already talking too much about other stuff and, you know, the whole editing thing that I talk about, or it was like exactly something that I've already expounded upon in the past on another show, that it is exactly like.
But it also goes into that conflict between the private contractors and the regular military, right? That on one hand, the private contractors, mostly, but probably most of them are, except for the kids, the teenagers, they're veterans. So they, that's why they become private military contractors. They've been around and they have experience, and so they're better pilots, etc. While the regular pilots are just regular pilots, right? Well, they have their training and equipment, of course.
Yeah,
But,
except for the kids. And I was going to say it's odd that they're recruiting right out of a high school.
High school, yeah. And so on one side, being pilots, they say, "Oh, we're better that way." But on the other hand, because they're a military, they're not a strictly military unit. They're disposable. That's why you have they're mercenaries. That's who they are, right? And so mercenaries.
I was just saying, there's literally the same thing in 86. Not even the kids; they go later on, like the Second Corps. There is a private military group that works alongside the military in another country, and they're only really given citizenship status for their military service, but they're not treated as full citizens for that sort of thing. So it kind of falls within the same realm there too.
Yeah,
but I think
so
86 was written by a not a military otaku. I think they had the woman actually had military service and everything like that. So it's written from the point of view of somebody who actually knows military stuff.
And so there's that thing. It was like, yeah, we might have better equipment because our contract, basically, we test it out, right? But at the end of the day, we're not the heroes, right? We're the disposable cannon fodder.
I think the thing the show has to do in respect to that is when it comes to 86, there's a lot of world building before we get to the point of, oh, we can't even bury our dead, that sort of thing. Because it's mainly one character who's on the inside learning about what's going on the outside because she's trying to be a normal human being when the world around them is being very racist. And they're being treated this way because they're not of that race. So what Frontier needs to do for me in that aspect is show me why. Because nothing of the existing Macross world fits into that. Like Macross 7, right? I'm not saying Macross 7 as the show, but Macross 7 as like the ship. We weren't being shown that. Maybe that shows up in the manga. Trash. Because, well, no. Not even, well, I don't know. I brought up to you once, I don't remember in recording or not, there is a cemetery ship in Trash, and it seems like what we had here is like a cemetery recycling thing. But why would even mercenary units not be treated as full human? Or not even human, because we still have Zentradi and possibly 2 other races. I don't know if they're present or not. I don't even know what word to use there. I guess we can just use human as interchangeable. Not human.
I think it's more a political decision, right? As it's easier for the politicians to sell you on the. It's like, well, modern life. I don't want to go real life examples, but one of the reasons why certain countries extensively use militaries, PMCs, is that if they die, technically speaking, they're not serving the country, and so the impact on the civilians is less.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't get it, right? Because burial, how you handle the dead, typically comes down to a not political, a money issue, right? Rich families or well-to-do families back in time got mausoleums. You got all your family buried in the same place. You got cemetery plots together, whatnot. And it was the poor people that weren't able to, do that sort of thing. It didn't matter what happened to you. But here, it's like, why does military service denote what happens to you after you're dead? And it feels like it has to be more than just that.
Well, remember that a military service is very much a public display, right? It's a state funeral. It may not be a huge thing like what happened with Garen over at was it Garen? Yeah,
Garma. You mean
like Garma?
Well, again, by pointing out that the manga of Macross 7 has a cemetery ship, implying that normal civilians get graves. But we're saying that the PMC guys, the SMS guys, are lower than civilians. We don't even get to bury them in a normal cemetery. Like, even if we denote that they're not part of UN Spacey, that they're less than normal civilians now.
Well, I don't know. Well, it depends. I think that's that recycling. I'm not sure if they bring back this, but I
Are
think
you saying
recycling
maybe it's just an M? It's just a frontier thing, and it's not just
yeah,
we have too
yeah,
many people here. In fact, we could not.
bury
Yeah,
everybody. I think it's a cremation versus burial kind of situation, right? Where recycling the bodies, it's part of the environmental world building,
because that makes it a
and
different thing. Then, if
yeah,
that was the case, then I don't give a shit because I don't care if
yeah,
somebody cremates themselves or not.
no. But I mean, the thing is that so it's not beneath the
Well, no, because
normal
then
citizen.
it becomes a term of respect. Of course, you're not serving in the active military. You're your own
That's
thing,
yeah,
and in which case, I
yeah.
don't care at that point. I've already pointed out it seemed like offensive that you're like they're yelling at the military. You guys are cowards. Get out of here, and then they go and fight the fight. It's like, well, they already don't care about the military. If you're not actively trying, or I don't know, I don't want to put something out there that I want to have to take back. Because obviously, I'm not going to say every active duty military person is actively trying to get that respect. I think they're just trying to do what they have to do or are being trained to do. But if you're not out there actively caring about it, then you don't care about it, right? I don't. They brought it up. We don't get these plots, but at the same point, you chose not to join the military, so you're not getting those plots. It's a representation of your duty to the state at that point, and you're choosing to serve the state in your own needs. At the same point, you could, if you're getting paid well enough, or the service or your SMS would provide it to you, buy a spot that any rich person could get or whatever. If your service was doing well enough, and it seems like it is because you've got the state of the art Valkyries, that you could pivot some of that money to getting respectful private funerals. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like as much of a slap in the face as the 86 example I'm giving. And if you're likening it to you can get recycled or cremated or ejected into space, whatever, and that these are just like these are Arlington. And it's like, of course you are not getting into Arlington if you're not in the active service. It'd be crazy to think that's an insult if you're a mercenary and you're like, well, I still fought. It's like, well, yeah, but you're not in the active service.
But it also goes to that thing that they wanted to do with Alto. Like they wanted Alto to tell them the last moments of when he died and everybody to hear about it. Because I think the message is the greater world is not going to remember us, but we are going to remember each other.
Well, yeah, no, that made sense to me from the beginning. I never had a problem with the, hey, tell us how he died. We remember our own. My problem with that scene was the weird pivot to violence. Because, I mean, Alto was being annoying because he just wasn't saying anything. He was in that weird confusion to, hey, I see my friends, to that weird anime thing where I just don't say what obviously I need to say in the moment. But, yeah. No, again, I guess I just don't have that much of a problem with this. We're not going to get buried here because it seems like the military is obviously willing to pick up anybody that is able to do, right? And you're choosing not to be in your own service. Now, granted, down the line, we might see there's a good reason for that, because obviously we're seeing there might be corruption at the height of the government, and that maybe these guys do it better because they're experienced and the military won't let them do what they have to do, one of those scenarios. In which case, sure. But I think you're at the same time, you're making that sacrifice for everyone's good. And should you be recognized for that? Yeah, certainly. But at the same point, the whole thing, if you're not in the military, you're probably not getting buried at Arlington.
Yeah. Yeah, so that I just wanted to bring that up.
No, I appreciate that the show has a lot of things like this, which are, I don't know, point of view isn't the right word to say, that we can talk about at length because there's a lot more weight behind them than just what you see, right? Like, oh, we ain't get buried here, and we can have like a half an hour discussion about what that actually means. Real world, anime world, any mixture of past historical precedent, that there's more to it than just a 1 minute discussion on screen. That's what makes the world building good, when there's implied implied depth that doesn't itself have to be said, that it's known, and you could have an Amuro moment on the edge of your bed about it for a long time.
I guess so.
All right. Well, I think that's enough for this episode. Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?